questions, please put them down in the comment section and we can ask the crew. Thank you.
G'day, my name's Patrick Orkney. I'm the station officer at Campbelltown. I've got firefighter Peter Jensen here, Craig Cameron and Adam Spearmanica. PJ's just going to do a quick acknowledgement of country for us.
Hi, how you doing? My name's Peter Jensen. I'm from far north Queensland. I'm a Chidunji man, born and bred on Jitterbul country on the Atherton Tablelands. When coming onto country, it's custom to let the old people know that we have arrived, to pay our respects and to move on. I'd like to acknowledge the Dharawal people. I'd like to acknowledge Wiradjurubin, the spiritual custodian, the land that we meet today, the lyrebird. I'd also like to acknowledge all elders past and present. I'd like to acknowledge all Aboriginal people here today and all non-Aboriginal people.
Hi everyone, I'm Craig Cameron. I'm a Wiradjuri man. My family's from the Gilgandra, Dubbo, Narromine area. I'm a leading firefighter. I relieve, so when I go to different stations when someone's on annual leave or vacation and fill in the positions. I've been a firefighter for 12 years now, and yeah, I love the job. Never gets boring. It's the best job in the world.
G'day. We've got also over here, we're a mixed staff station, so Campbelltown's retained as well as permanent. So Bryson over here and Mitch. So they would get responded with us. They get retainer, so that's what we call retain station. So they get a retainer per month and they get paid per call that they turn out to. So that's why we've got 2 trucks at the station in case you wonder. I should also mention I'm from Campbelltown, so I've lived my whole life, Dharawal country, but my mob's from Kalkadoon, my grandmother's from Clontarry. So yeah, that's me, and this is Adam.
G'day, Adam. I've been stationed here for 7 years. I can't really top any of the great things that these guys said, so
So Pat, 3 of you guys are blackfellas. Yep. How have you seen inclusion within Fire and Rescue grow since you've started at Fire and Rescue?
Yes, I joined in 1998, so there wasn't a lot of Indigenous firefighters at that stage. There was maybe half a dozen, I would say, maybe a dozen. There was no set programs or targeting really for our mob for employment within Fire and Rescue. But we did have a liaison officer at the time when I joined Ferry Hill, who organised a few things through Fire and Rescue. So it's always been a focus of Fire and Rescue, but certainly it's grown since I've been in the job. So since I've been in the job, we've implemented an IFARES program, Indigenous Fire and Rescue Employment Strategy, that was implemented by a couple of firefighters so we round up. We've now employed 62 Fire and Rescue, like full-time firefighters in the last almost 5 years, and PJ was one of the very first to come through the program.
Yep, so PJ, can you just elaborate on to us what IFARES actually is?
Yeah, so IFARES is an Aboriginal employment pathway into fire and rescue. We take up people from all across New South Wales. We bring them down and train them to sit some of the aptitude tests, the interview tests. So we prep them up so that they can compete against mainstream in permanent roles in fire and rescue.
So what kind of intake do we get for IFARES each year?
Yeah, we have about 200 applicants each year, and we'll cull those down to 40. And for 2 days, we'll get the 40 guys down to Sydney. We do a tracks program, and through that program, we're testing people's attitudes, not their aptitude, not about how smart they are, but their attitude towards the job and what they can give to the job. From that 40, we'll cull them down to 24, and they'll go right into our program. So they'll do that. That program can run from anywhere between 6 months and 12 months, depending on how it's rolled out that particular year. At the end of that, they will sit the mainstream test to get into the fire brigade. So far, it's been pretty successful, and I'm proud to say that we've had a lot of deadly brothers and sisters get into the fire brigade. We represent Fire and Rescue New South Wales, its values, very, very well, and I think we're super proud of the IFARES program and what we've been able to do.
Perfect. We just have a question coming in from Anthony. He would like to know what the hardest part of being a firefighter is.
The hardest part of being a firefighter?
Yeah.
For me personally, the hardest part about being a firefighter would be responding to incidents with children. Having 4 children myself, whenever we're involved in fire and rescue, like usually road accidents, they can be quite challenging, and confronting that sort of emotional sort of stress is probably the hardest part, I would say, for me personally, but everyone's got different opinions. Anyone else?
No, I would agree with that. I've got 2 children myself, and it's always confronting and daunting when you are responding to an incident that you know a child, or you're responding to someone on the worst day of their life. So yeah, it's not nice, but we just do the best we can, and we're here to help the community. So yeah, we just have to put on a brave face and do our job and work as best we can.
For me, it's different for us because we turn up basically when we're not working. It's our secondary employment, but it's definitely the same thing. These guys are the first ones on scene, more than likely. So yeah, they're more confronted than what we do. We're just trying to help these guys out as much as we can, but yeah, it's definitely the same for us.
I think it's also difficult for retained stations, as that's their secondary job, so they're often called out where they've already worked the full day, they've got other competing commitments, so they show up 24/7, 365 days a year. They can be on call, whereas we've got shift and we've got set times off. So sometimes I think that being retained at busy stations is very challenging, just the workload.
So just to add to that, Billy's asked, how difficult is your shift work on your family, and what kind of shift do you guys work?
Well, shift work's changed since I joined. Recently we've gone to a 24-hour roster. We used to do 2 days on, 2 nights off, and then 4 days off. The new roster, I think, suits the fire brigade and most employees more, as Sydney's such a large, huge area to live and work in, so a lot of people work more than 2 hours drive away, so the 24-hour roster takes away some of that travel pressure. But it's rotating, so it's very hard to organise around childcare, and because we've got set annual leave and set days off, that can be sometimes challenging working in with your family and your partner. But it also means you have a lot of time off to recover, and builds a close bond on shift when you're working 24 hours with people. So yeah.
And on major days when like kids' birthdays and things like that, we miss those sort of days. Like, you know, the kids can come into the station. Like Christmas Day, we normally all get together and have a meal together, and the kids can come in, and you know, we try and do the best we can to, you know, maintain a normal sort of lifestyle, being at the station 24/7. And yeah, just as Pat said, like the way Sydney is now, like people are moving further away. It's the 24-hour shift gives us a lot of time off to reset and relax and just get recharged, come back to work and deal with what we have to respond to every day.
And what about being on call for being a retained firefighter? How do you find that?
I enjoy it. It's definitely something good and challenging to do on our time off from our first employment. The hardest thing would be definitely getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and come down to a call, especially during winter when it's so cold and you're getting out of bed. A lot of us have partners, so leaving them behind while they're nice and tucked up and warm. So that's the probably biggest challenge in terms of that.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. It's, you know, every day is different. Getting up all hours of the morning is hard. You know, these guys, they can jump straight in the truck. For us, we've got to drive here. Yeah, but wouldn't give it up for the world.
So we've just had another question come through. At what point of time did you decide you would like to be a firefighter?
I was 28 when I joined, and it was something I'd thought about for quite a while. I was already in federal public service, so for me it was probably something after I've done a few different roles. At 28, I had known a few firefighters, and I saw that it was a great rewarding career, and that was something I was looking for at the time.
Yep.
Yeah, I was 32 when I joined Fire and Rescue. Yeah, as everyone knows, it's a very competitive job to get into. I wasn't successful the first time I applied, and a lot of people lose faith after that. But you know, you just have to have another go. And the second time I got in, and like I've been here for 12 years now, and I wouldn't change it for the world. It is competitive, but I just encourage you to keep going, and no matter what age, we're an inclusive employer, so we don't discriminate from age or sex or anything like that. So just keep going and have a go, and you get in, you'll love it.
Adam?
I was pretty young, so I was a bit aimless, and it seemed like a good job with a good bit of structure and stuff like that. So I think I decided when I was about 20. Yeah.
Nicholas has also asked, why is teamwork so important within a crew?
Teamwork's vitally important because of the role we do. We're often working around very hazardous situations, so you have to actually work as a cohesive team just to keep everyone safe. And we work so closely together. It's a 24-hour shift. If you haven't got teamwork, you're not going to enjoy your work environment. And when you respond to emergency situations, you want to know that everyone knows their role and that they've got your back. And so you're often working where communication is quite difficult. So you need to know that your team is aware of their roles and responsibilities at all times. So keep the public safe, keep us safe.
And most of the incidents we turn out to are highly stressful as well. So you need to have good teamwork and good knowledge of your teammates, so you can lean on each other to get the job done and get the best result.
Yeah, perfect. So just on that too, sorry. So Aboriginal communities are 7 times more likely to be injured or killed in a house fire. Do you have any safety messaging for those communities and our mobs to help reduce that number?
Yeah, we do safety visits, they're called at the moment, which we've targeted with Megan's help in Indigenous communities. But the message is pretty same for Indigenous communities or all the communities. Number one is have a working smoke detector in your house. That's the most important thing. You've got a working smoke detector in your house. There's very few fatal fires that have occurred in New South Wales since it was mandatory with a working smoke detector in the house. So that's number one. There's always winter fire safety, winter approaching. General message is keep a metre from the heater, so any heater that you have in your house, keep anything a metre from it, because of that heat can conduct in the material and cause spontaneous combustion of material that's close to the heater. Besides that, I think really important for Indigenous communities, we've got a lot of families that live very close together. We've got some overcrowding in some of our communities as well. So making sure that everyone is aware of your fire safety plan, like an exit, what to do if there's a fire, if there's smoke in your house. So the messages we give kids when we do fire safety visits, get down low and go, go, go. Parents are very important. Make sure we congregate out the front of the house, and we never return into the house if there's smoke or fire for any reason whatsoever. Okay, once we're outside, we stay there, let the fire brigade know that we're all out. Other things like smoking in bed, very important. Make sure that we're not smoking in bed. Kids can really hit that message home to their parents often. We find when we go to schools and give this talk that we always ask the kids, is there any smokers in the house? Make sure you go home and tell your mum and dad. Remember, never to smoke in bed. And if you can, make sure you hide your matches or have them in an area where kids can't get to them. Matches and lighters, very important as well. Other safety messages general, like housekeeping. Okay, keep any combustibles that you use away from the house. So if you've got a wood-fired heater, okay, remember to clean that out. Same as washing machine, clothes dryers, keep the lint filters clean, keep your gutters clean. If you're in a bushfire area, make sure you're on top of all that. Things like barbecues, serviced regularly, gas cylinders are vented away from the house. Yeah, there's a few things that we could go into, but most important, smoking in bed and have a working smoke detector.
No, don't smoke in bed.
Yeah, no, and definitely not.
Definitely all the mob backup, Bree and Walgett and all those areas up there. One of the other big problems are your scented candles, guys. We're always making sure we're putting our scented candles away from anything that it can catch on to. But not only that, one of the brothers from up home in North Queensland, when the electricity's out and you've got to use your candles, you've got to make sure that the candles are looked after, that they're put in a safe place where there's no chance of the fire spreading.
Blow them out before you go to sleep.
Perfect. And just on a closing note, people are asking how we could join iFairs. Could you just let us know how to do that? And then, we'll say goodbye to the mob. And
there's an application process. So you'll see it'll come out on Facebook and other medias where they'll apply, like they'll have a vacancy. Probably next year's already been sorted, but look out for the advertisements and inquiry next year on the Facebook site. So it's basically an application process, 2 targeted questions, and then you apply. We go through the applications, as PJ said before. We get those, then we take it down to 40, run a program called Tracks to iFairs, run through TAFE with the 2-day fire brigade involvement, and then from there we pick the iFairs participants. Again, it's a long process, and fire brigades involved in a 2-week block during over the whole process, but a specific 2-week block in iFairs where we run them through everything to do with being a firefighter. And at the end of that, there's still no guaranteed position. We still actually go through HR to see how many positions are available, and from that, positions are offered for full-time employment. So, for the moment, the next iFairs course is already, the participants have been chosen. So it will probably be advertised again in 2021, I would say, or the end of 2021.
Just further to that also, if you're interested about doing iFairs, you can jump on Campbelltown Aboriginal Pathways right now and you can fill out an expression of interest. And through that process, when we do start recruiting, with TAFE, you'll be sent an email or someone will contact you and you can express your interest formally at that point in time. One of the other things that I need to tell you that's super important is when you're applying and you first do your application, you're going to be asked a number of questions, and one of them is going to be mostly about your identity and your connection with your Aboriginality. And what we are focused on Fire and Rescue New South Wales is that we get Aboriginal people that that can engage with their community, that are relevant within their community. So we're going out and we're spreading the message. So when you do your application, make sure you're strong about your identity. Tell us who you are and why you're proud of being Aboriginal, and tell us how you're active within your community. That's what we're looking for in our applications, guys. So it's about your identity and your connectedness to your community. So good luck with that process.
perfect. Any closing statements to our mobs?
Keep safe over winter, and make sure that we offer a safety visit. So any mob out there that has some issues around their housing, contact your local fire station, like Fire Rescue New South Wales, or Fire Plus, and they can come out and give you some advice around that, as well as school visits. Love doing school visits as well. When COVID-19, when this all finishes.
We're moving towards prevention and preparedness. So instead of responding to incidents, we want to have the community prepared. So we don't have to respond as much. So the safety visits come into act with that, and smoke detectors and school education of kids. It starts young and then it works its way up. So yeah, school visits are a good one too.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, guys.
No worries.
Stay safe.